What if I told you that Super Mario Odyssey's most mind-blowing secrets weren't discovered until years after its release? But here's what keeps me up at night. What if the developers hid something in plain sight that we still haven't found? Hello, and welcome to a journey through 165 facts about Super Mario Odyssey, a bedtime story designed to help you drift peacefully into sleep. Before we begin, I'd love to know where in the world you're watching from tonight. Are you cozy in bed in North America, winding down after a long day in Europe, or perhaps greeting the morning from somewhere in Asia? Wherever you are, get comfortable, close your eyes if you'd like, and let's embark on this soothing adventure together. Super Mario Odyssey arrived in our lives during October of 2017, landing on the Nintendo Switch, like a love letter to exploration and wonder. It was a game that dared to ask a simple question. What if Mario could leave the Mushroom Kingdom behind and travel the entire world? For decades, Mario had been rescuing Princess Peach from Bowser's clutches, usually within the familiar green pipes and brick blocks of his homeland. But the team at Nintendo had been dreaming of something bigger, something that would let Mario spread his wings and discover places beyond anything we had seen before. The vision began years earlier when the developers sat together and remembered what had made Super Mario 64 so magical back in 1996. That game had given players wide open spaces to explore, secrets tucked into every corner, and the pure joy of discovery. Children who had played it were now adults, and many had their own children. The team wanted to capture that same sense of freedom and wonder, but for a new generation. They wanted to create what they called a worldwide adventure, where Mario wouldn't just visit different levels, but would actually travel to kingdoms that felt like real places with their own cultures and personalities. As the early concepts took shape, the developers knew they were breaking away from tradition. Previous three-dimensional Mario games had stayed closer to familiar territory. Super Mario Galaxy had sent Mario into space, yes, but those planets still felt like the Mushroom Kingdom at heart, with toads and familiar enemies around every corner. Super Mario 3D World had brought four-player fun, but kept things comfortably within Nintendo's established style. Odyssey was going to be different. It was going to take Mario to a city filled with realistic humans, to a desert filled with skeletons wearing sombreros, to a kingdom made entirely of food. It was ambitious and strange and wonderful. The team gathered inspiration from their own travels around the world. They thought about the feeling of arriving in a new country, where everything looks different and sounds different and even smells different. They wanted each kingdom in Odyssey to give players that same little thrill of discovery, that moment when you step off a plane and realize you're somewhere completely new. Some people on the team had visited New York City and were amazed by its towering skyscrapers and busy streets. Others had traveled to Mexico and fallen in love with colorful festivals and ancient pyramids. These real-world experiences would flow into the game, transformed into something magical but still somehow familiar. There was something beautifully nostalgic about this approach too. The original Super Mario Bros. Had been about a jumping plumber having an adventure, pure and simple. Over the years, the games had built up so much lore and so many rules about what a Mario game should be. Odyssey felt like a return to that original spirit of just letting Mario go on an adventure, wherever that adventure might lead. It reminded longtime fans of the freedom they felt as children, when anything seemed possible, and every game was a doorway to somewhere new. As the project moved forward, the developers knew they were creating something special. They could feel it in their bones. This wasn't going to be just another Mario game. This was going to be a journey that players would remember for years, maybe even decades. They wanted children playing it in 2017 to feel the same magic that children had felt in 1985 or 1996 or 2007. They wanted to prove that Mario could still surprise us, still make us gasp with delight, still make us feel like anything was possible. And so, the work began in earnest, with artists sketching strange new worlds, programmers building the foundations of adventure, and designers dreaming up secrets to hide in every corner. The Nintendo Switch was their canvas, and Super Mario Odyssey would be their masterpiece. But creating this worldwide adventure would require solving countless puzzles, both technical and creative, and the journey to bring it to life was just beginning. The Nintendo Switch was unlike any console Nintendo had ever created before, and this changed everything about how Super Mario Odyssey would be built. Released in March of 2017, just 7 months before Odyssey launched, the Switch could transform from a home console into a handheld device in seconds. You could play on your television in the living room, then slide the console out of its dock and continue playing in bed. This magical flexibility meant the development team had to think about their game in entirely new ways. When you design a game for a television, you can assume players will sit a comfortable distance away from a large screen. When you design for a handheld, you know players might hold the device just inches from their face, or play in bright sunlight, or glance at it during a bus ride. The Odyssey team needed their kingdoms to look beautiful and run smoothly in both situations. Every texture, every character model, every particle effect had to work perfectly, whether you were playing on a 40-inch TV or a 6.2-inch screen. The Switch's processing power was stronger than the Wii U, but not quite as mighty as the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. This meant the team couldn't simply throw unlimited details at every scene. They had to be clever, had to make careful choices about where to spend their technical budget. Instead of seeing this as a limitation, they saw it as a creative challenge. How could they make each kingdom feel dense and alive without overwhelming the hardware? One of their smartest solutions was eliminating loading screens between different areas within a kingdom. In older games, when you entered a building or crossed into a new zone, you might see a black screen with a little spinning icon while the game loaded the next area. The Odyssey team wanted none of that. They wanted you to walk from the sunny streets of New Donk City directly into a building, then climb to the rooftop, then leap to another building, all without a single interruption. This seamless flow made the kingdoms feel real, like actual places you were visiting, rather than levels you were playing through. To achieve this smooth experience, the programmers used a technique where the game would quietly load nearby areas while you were busy doing something else. If you were collecting purple coins in one part of Tostarena, the game was already preparing the areas just beyond what you could see. By the time you walked there, everything was ready and waiting. It was like having a team of invisible stagehands constantly setting up the next scene before you arrived. The team also discovered that the Switch's increased memory allowed them to fill kingdoms with more interactive objects than ever before. In New Donk City, nearly every scooter, every taxi, every manhole cover could be interacted with somehow. In the Luncheon Kingdom, you could knock over salt shakers, bounce on vegetables, and watch steam rise from bubbling pots. These small touches made the worlds feel responsive and alive. When you threw Cappy at a lamppost and it wiggled, when you ground pounded near a flower and it shook, the kingdom felt like it noticed you were there. The hybrid nature of the Switch influenced design decisions in quieter ways too. The team knew some players would spend hours exploring every corner while sitting comfortably at home. Others might play in short bursts during their commute or lunch break, so they designed power moons to reward both playstyles. Some moons required long, complex tasks that might take 15 or 20 minutes. Others could be grabbed in 30 seconds if you spotted them. This flexibility meant Odyssey felt perfect, whether you had 5 minutes or 5 hours to play. The The Joy-Con controllers attached to the Switch also opened creative possibilities. These small controllers could detect motion, which meant players could shake them, or swing them, or point them in different directions. The team experimented with the ways to use these motions for throwing Cappy, adding an optional layer of control for players who wanted it. But they were careful never to require motion controls, knowing some players preferred traditional buttons or might be playing in situations where swinging controllers wasn't practical. Processing power also determined how many characters could appear on screen at once. In New Donk City, the team wanted crowds of people walking the streets, making it feel like a real bustling metropolis. They carefully optimized each character model, finding ways to show dozens of new Donkers without slowing down the frame rate. When the festival began and even more characters appeared, every technical decision they had made earlier paid off, allowing the celebration to feel truly grand. These technical choices, invisible to most players, created the foundation for everything else. The kingdoms could be dense and detailed. The adventure could flow without interruption, and Mario's worldwide journey could feel as smooth and natural as slipping into a pleasant dream. Every great adventure needs a companion, and Super Mario Odyssey's greatest innovation arrived in the form of a cheerful ghost wearing a top hat. Cappy, as he came to be known, wasn't part of the original vision for the game. In the earliest planning stages, the team simply knew they wanted Mario to travel the world and interact with it in new ways. They experimented with dozens of ideas, discarding most of them, searching for that one special mechanic that would define the entire experience. The concept of hats had danced around Mario games for years. In Super Mario 64, Mario could wear a wing cap to fly, a metal cap to become invincible, or a vanish cap to walk through walls. In Super Mario Sunshine, a water-spraying device called Flood attached to Mario's back and gave him new abilities. The Odyssey team wondered if they could do something with headwear again, something that felt fresh and exciting. In very early prototypes, they tested ideas where Mario could collect different hats with different powers. A red hat might let him run faster, a blue hat might let him swim better, but these felt too similar to traditional power-ups, just worn on the head instead of collected from blocks. Then someone on the team asked a simple question. What if the hat itself was alive? What if it could leave Mario's head and do things on its own? This spark of an idea changed everything. They created early test versions where Mario could throw a hat forward and the hat would bounce off walls and return to him. It felt playful and fun, like tossing a boomerang. But they still hadn't discovered the magic yet. The breakthrough came when they experimented with what happened when the thrown hat touched an enemy. In one test, the hat simply damaged the enemy like jumping on it would. Boring. In another test, the hat stunned the enemy temporarily. Better, but still nothing special. Then they tried something wild. What if Mario could possess the enemy? What if, when the hat landed on a Goomba's head, Mario could suddenly become that Goomba and control it? The first time a developer made Mario capture a Goomba and walk around as it, everyone in the room felt a tingle of excitement. This was it. This was the idea they had been searching for. Suddenly, enemies weren't just obstacles to avoid or defeat. They were tools, vehicles, new ways to experience each kingdom. A bullet bill became a way to fly across chasms. A hammer bro became a way to smash through blocks. A T-Rex became, well, a way to be a terrifying dinosaur stomping through a prehistoric jungle. As development continued, the capture mechanic grew from a fun gimmick into the very heart of the game. The team realized they could design entire kingdoms around specific captures. They could create puzzles that only made sense if you captured the right creature or object. And yes, objects too, because they discovered that capturing didn't have to be limited to living things. Why not let Mario capture a stone statue and walk around as heavy, slow-moving rock? Why not let him capture a manhole cover and experience the world as a flat disk? Why not let him capture a spark of electricity and zip along power lines? The character of Cappy himself emerged from these experiments. The team decided the hat should have a personality, a voice, a reason for joining Mario on his journey. They created the Cap Kingdom, a land where everything was made of hats and inhabited by hat-shaped spirits called bonitors. Cappy became one of these spirits, searching for his sister Tiara, who had been captured by Bowser. This gave the hat an emotional stake in the adventure. Cappy wasn't just a tool or a power-up. He was Mario's friend, his partner, someone with hopes and fears, and a family to save. Early testers loved the capture mechanic immediately. Nintendo invited players to try the game before it was finished, watching carefully to see how people reacted. Children laughed with delight when they first captured a Goomba. Teenagers grinned when they realized they could capture a chain chomp and smash through everything. Adults who had played Mario games for 30 years sat back in their chairs with wonder in their eyes, amazed that Mario could still surprise them after all this time. The team kept refining how capturing felt. The animation needed to be quick and satisfying, with Mario's consciousness seeming to zoom into whatever he captured. Each captured creature needed to control differently enough to feel special, but not so differently that players got confused. A captured frog could jump higher than Mario, but moved in big leaps rather than smooth runs. A captured Cheep Cheep could swim faster than Mario, but obviously couldn't survive on land. These differences made each capture feel like slipping into a new pair of shoes, familiar but distinct. They also had to decide what Mario could and couldn't capture. Could he capture a cloud? Yes, that would be fun, floating peacefully through the sky. Could he capture another person, like a new Donker or a Toasterinen? That felt strange and potentially uncomfortable, so they decided against it. Could he capture bosses? Some of them, yes, but only when it served the gameplay and story. These decisions took months of testing and discussion. The visual design of capturing went through many versions too. They needed a clear way to show which things Mario could capture and which he couldn't. They settled on giving capturable objects and creatures a subtle glow when Cappy got near them, plus a small circular target that appeared. This helped players understand the rules without needing to read instructions or tutorials. By the time Odyssey released in October of 2017, Cappy had become inseparable from the experience. Reviews praised the capture mechanic as one of the most creative ideas in Mario's long history. Players discovered that 52 different things could be captured, each one opening new possibilities. Some captures appeared in multiple kingdoms. Others showed up only once, in a single special moment designed specifically for them. Cappy transformed Odyssey from a very good Mario game into something truly magical, a game where you never quite knew what you might become next. Creating worlds for Super Mario Odyssey required the team to think differently about what a Mario level could be. In previous games, levels were places you passed through on your way to somewhere else. You entered World 1-1, completed it, and moved on to World 1-2. The Odyssey team wanted something else entirely. They wanted kingdoms that felt like destinations, places you might actually want to visit and spend time in, locations that existed for their own sake, rather than just as challenges for Mario to overcome. The first major decision was making each kingdom visually and thematically unique. The team didn't want 15 variations of grasslands or 10 different castle levels. They wanted a player to look at a screenshot and immediately know which kingdom it came from. This meant pushing into bold, unexpected directions. The Cap Kingdom would be built entirely from hats and hat-related structures, with top hats serving as buildings and bowler hats as bridges. The Cascade Kingdom would feature prehistoric waterfalls and ancient fossils embedded in cliff faces. The Sand Kingdom would blend desert ruins with a charming town filled with skeletal inhabitants wearing colorful clothes. Each kingdom needed to feel like a real place where people or creatures actually lived. This was a dramatic shift from the abstract floating platforms and simple theme worlds of earlier Mario games. In New Donk City, the team designed streets with crosswalks, traffic lights, and parked cars. They added office buildings where New Donkers presumably worked, restaurants where they might eat lunch, and a park where they could relax. None of these details were required for gameplay, but they made the city feel inhabited and genuine. When you walked down a New Donk City street, you could imagine the lives of the people around you, what they did when Mario wasn't jumping on their buildings. The design philosophy emphasized cohesion within variety. Yes, each kingdom looked completely different from the others, but within each kingdom, everything fit together. In the Wooded Kingdom, the trees had a specific style. The flowers matched that style. The steam gardeners who lived there echoed the organic curves of their environment, and even the robots that had invaded the forest had planty, wooden elements incorporated into their design. This consistency helped each kingdom feel like it belonged together, like it had grown naturally, rather than being randomly assembled. Size was another careful consideration. The kingdoms needed to be large enough to reward exploration, but not so vast that players felt lost or overwhelmed. The team discovered through testing that players enjoyed having a central hub area they could orient themselves around with paths branching out to different regions. The Sand Kingdom had Toast Arena Town as its heart, with the desert stretching north, ruins to the east, and the inverted pyramid as a landmark visible from almost anywhere. This gave players both freedom and guidance, a gentle structure within apparent openness. Verticality played a crucial role in kingdom design. The team didn't just think about how kingdoms spread outward, but also how they reached upward and downward. In the Metro Kingdom, you could explore street level, climb to building rooftops, descend into underground areas, and even venture into the new Donk City Hall Tower that stretched high above everything else. This three-dimensional thinking meant secrets could hide above you, below you, or tucked into the side of a building at an unexpected height. Players learned to look everywhere, to consider all dimensions of space. The aesthetic choices always served gameplay purposes, never appearing just for decoration. The colorful question mark blocks in New Donk City weren't just there to be silly or break the realistic atmosphere. They served as platforms, as visual guides, showing players where to go, as reminders that this was still a Mario game, even in the midst of all this realism. The bubbling lava in the Luncheon Kingdom wasn't just pretty to look at. It created hazards. It could be crossed using specific captures, and it emphasized the cooking theme that unified the entire kingdom. Every visual choice had a reason, a purpose, a way it enhanced the experience of being there. Lighting and atmosphere transformed kingdoms from collections of objects into living places. The Lake Kingdom's soft, gentle light made the water sparkle peacefully and gave the whole area a serene, dreamlike quality. The ruined dragon in the background, partially submerged, told a story without words. The Seaside Kingdom's bright, vacation resort sunshine made everything feel cheerful and relaxed, perfect for the beach town atmosphere the designers wanted. The darker, moodier lighting in Bowser's Kingdom created tension and danger, warning you that this was enemy territory. Weather and environmental effects added another layer of believability. The Sand Kingdom had heat waves that made distant objects shimmer. The Snow Kingdom featured actual falling snow that accumulated on surfaces. The Wooded Kingdom had dappled sunlight filtering through tree branches. These touches didn't just make kingdoms prettier, they made them feel like they existed independent of Mario, like they had weather patterns and day cycles and natural processes. The team also thought carefully about how players would first see each kingdom. Your arrival point mattered enormously. In most kingdoms, you landed in a spot that gave you a vista, a moment to pause and take in the scope of where you were. When the Odyssey landed in Tostarena, you stepped out onto a small hill that overlooked the town and the desert beyond, letting you absorb the whole kingdom's personality before diving in. When you arrived in New Donk City, you were positioned to see the tall buildings stretching upward. Immediately understanding this kingdom would be about vertical exploration. Each kingdom had what the designers called a signature element, something that defined its personality. For the Cap Kingdom, it was hats everywhere. For the Cascade Kingdom, it was the massive waterfall and prehistoric theme. For the Luncheon Kingdom, it was food transformed into landscape. These signature elements weren't just visual themes. They influenced the captures available, the power moons hidden there, the way you move through space, and the emotions the kingdom evoked. They made each location memorable, gave it an identity that stuck in your mind long after you left. As you journey through Super Mario Odyssey, something wonderful happens with each kingdom you visit. The environments don't just sit there waiting for you. They breathe and change and reveal new layers the longer you spend with them. This evolution of environments across the game creates a gentle rhythm, a sense of progression that feels as natural as seasons, changing or flowers opening in the morning light. The Cap Kingdom serves as your first gentle introduction to this world of kingdoms. It's small and cozy, almost like a practice area wrapped in soft fog and floating hat-shaped platforms. The colors are muted, mostly grays and whites, and gentle purples. Everything feels quiet here, peaceful, like the calm before a grand adventure begins. You learn the basics of capturing, of throwing cappy, of exploring three-dimensional space. Then you leave, and the kingdom grows smaller behind you as the Odyssey lifts into the sky. When you land in the Cascade Kingdom, the world suddenly opens up. Waterfalls rush and tumble, their sound filling your ears. Dinosaur fossils peek out from stone cliffs. The colors are earthier now, browns and greens, and the white foam of falling water. This kingdom teaches you that environments can be bigger, that they can have multiple paths and hidden caves and secrets tucked behind waterfalls. You capture your first creature with substance here, a frog whose powerful legs let you leap to new heights. The kingdom feels alive with possibility. The Sand Kingdom sprawls before you next, and here the technological advancements of the Switch truly shine. The desert stretches in every direction, sand dunes rolling like frozen waves. Heat shimmers in the distance. The town of Tostarena sits at the heart of it all, colorful buildings where cheerful skeletons live their lives. You can see the inverted pyramid from almost anywhere, a landmark that helps you orient yourself in this vast space. Underground, ice-filled caverns provide cool relief from the desert heat. The kingdom has layers, secrets beneath secrets, and you begin to understand that these aren't simple levels, but actual places. New Donk City rises tall when you arrive in the Metro Kingdom, and the shift is dramatic. Suddenly, you're in a bustling city with realistic humans walking realistic streets. Cars are parked along curbs, girders stretch between buildings. The aesthetic is so different from anything Mario has seen before, yet it works. It feels right somehow. You climb buildings, leap between rooftops, explore underground construction sites and municipal buildings. The city has a personality, a rhythm, the feeling of a real place where people work and live and dream. Technology allowed the team to fill these streets with dozens of characters to create the busiest, most populated area ever seen in a Mario game. The wooded kingdom wraps you in nature when you arrive. Trees stretch high, their leaves forming a canopy that filters sunlight into soft green light. Flowers bloom everywhere, and mechanical invaders have disrupted the peace with their metal constructions. Steam gardeners tend their forest home, peaceful creatures who just want their kingdom restored. The environment here teaches you about contrast, about how natural and mechanical elements can exist in the same space. Deep within the forest, you find an area called the Secret Flower Field, and the name alone sounds like something from a gentle dream. As your journey continues through the Lake Kingdom and its peaceful underwater palace, through the Luncheon Kingdom with its bubbling lava and vegetable landscapes, through the Seaside Kingdom's sunny beach resort, each environment adds something new to your understanding. The technological capabilities of the Switch let each kingdom feel dense with life and secrets. The Lake Kingdom's water is clear and shimmering, every ripple rendered beautifully. The Luncheon Kingdom's food items look good enough to eat, pots steaming and vegetables gleaming. The Seaside Kingdom's water sparkles under vacation sunshine, perfect for a relaxing dip. The Snow Kingdom arrives like a gentle hush, everything covered in white. Snowflakes drift down constantly, accumulating on surfaces, melting when you step on them. The athletic Chivarians race along ice paths, and their village sits cozy against the cold. Underground, you find a cavern, where everything is frozen in beautiful ice formations. The kingdom feels quiet, peaceful, like a snow day when school is canceled and the world slows down. Bowser's Kingdom shifts the tone with its darker atmosphere and Japanese-inspired architecture. Pagodas rise against a cloudy sky. The environment here is more dangerous, more tense, but still beautiful in its own way. You feel yourself getting closer to the final confrontation, closer to saving Princess Peach and Cappy's sister Tiara. The environmental storytelling reaches its peak here, every detail reminding you this is Bowser's territory. The Moon Kingdom feels alien and otherworldly, low gravity making every jump float longer. The environment is sparse but striking, craters and unusual rock formations stretching across the lunar surface. After all the lush, detailed kingdoms you visited, the moon's emptiness creates its own kind of beauty, a stark contrast that makes you appreciate the journey you've taken. And then, after the credits roll and you return to the kingdoms, something magical happens. They change. New areas open up. More power moons appear. The kingdoms you thought you knew reveal they had more to offer all along. Mushroom Kingdom, a delightful callback to Princess Peach's castle from Super Mario 64, becomes available. The technological achievement of rendering these dense, detailed worlds means there's always something more to discover, always another corner to peek around, always another secret waiting patiently for you to find it. Each environment built upon lessons learned from the previous one, creating a gentle escalation of wonder that never overwhelms, but constantly delights, like pages turning in a favorite bedtime story. Mario has been with us for over 40 years, jumping and running through countless adventures, but in Super Mario Odyssey, he feels more alive, more expressive, more present than ever before. The development team poured incredible attention into every movement, every gesture, every tiny animation that brings this beloved character to life. When you watch Mario closely in this game, you see a character who reacts to his world, who feels the cold and heat, who gets tired and excited and shows emotion in ways both big and small. The animation team expanded Mario's movement vocabulary beyond anything seen in previous games. In older Mario adventures, he had perhaps a dozen key animations: running, jumping, landing, standing idle. In Odyssey, he has hundreds. Every action has been carefully crafted to feel just right, to give weight and personality to this little plumber on his big adventure. When Mario runs, his arms pump with determination. When he skids to a stop, his feet slide and his body leans back. When he performs a long jump, he crouches first, building energy, then explodes forward with his arms stretched behind him like a speed skater. One of the most delightful additions is how Mario responds to his environment in small, quiet ways. When you stand still in the Snow Kingdom, Mario starts to shiver. He wraps his arms around himself, his breath visible in little puffs of white. His teeth chatter if you listen carefully, but dress him in the Explorer outfit, or the fashionable outfit with its warm red coat, and he stands comfortably, no longer bothered by the cold. These tiny touches make Mario feel like he's actually experiencing the kingdoms he visits, not just passing through them. In the Sand Kingdom's heat, Mario wipes sweat from his brow if you leave him standing in the sun too long. His shoulders rise and fall as he breathes deeply. But take him into the underground ice caverns beneath Tostarena, and he'll start shivering again. The contrast between desert heat and cavern cold affecting him just as it would affect you or me. When Mario stands in the Luncheon Kingdom near bubbling lava, he shields his face from the heat, leaning back slightly as if feeling the warm air rising. Water animations receive special attention too. When Mario swims, he doesn't just glide through the water like in older games. His arms perform a proper breaststroke. His legs kick behind him. Bubbles trail from his movement. When he surfaces, he takes a big breath, his chest expanding, water droplets flying from his hair and mustache. If you dive deep and then shoot upward, he'll burst from the surface with a joyful leap, like a dolphin playing in the waves. In the Lake Kingdom and Seaside Kingdom, these swimming animations make spending time in the water feel natural and peaceful. The costume system adds another layer to Mario's expressiveness. Throughout the kingdoms, you can purchase different outfits using regular coins and special purple regional coins. These aren't just cosmetic changes, though they do look wonderful. Each outfit comes with its own set of animations. When Mario wears the Explorer outfit, he stands a bit straighter, looking ready for adventure. When he wears the fashionable outfit with its slick suit and fedora, his idle animation shows him adjusting his hat coolly. The Santa outfit makes him look jolly and warm. The Happy outfit from Bowser's Kingdom gives him a more relaxed, festival-going posture. Some outfits are required to enter certain areas or buildings in the kingdoms. The citizens of these places have standards, you see. They won't let just anyone wearing overalls and a red cap walk into their fancy restaurants or cultural sites. You need to dress appropriately. This gives the costumes purpose beyond looking nice, making them feel like real clothing choices rather than just collectibles. When you dress Mario in the right outfit for the kingdom you're in, he fits in with the locals, becoming part of the environment rather than standing out. Mario's facial expressions grew more detailed in Odyssey 2. His eyes widen when he's surprised. They narrow with determination during difficult jumps. His mustache bounces cheerfully when he lands from a long fall. During certain story moments, you can see emotions play across his face. Worry when Cappy first appears, determination when chasing Bowser, joy during the new Donk City Festival. These expressions don't interrupt gameplay. They happen naturally, adding emotional depth to moments that might otherwise feel simple. The sleeping animations are particularly soothing to watch. If you leave Mario idle long enough in a safe spot, he'll yawn, stretching his arms above his head. Then he'll sit down, making himself comfortable. After another moment, he'll lie down completely and fall asleep, his chest rising and falling with peaceful breaths. A small snore bubble appears above his nose, growing and shrinking in time with his breathing. It's such a gentle, calming animation, perfect for a game you might play before bed. Mario's athletic abilities shine through in how he moves through three-dimensional space. The development team wanted him to feel responsive and precise, So every jump has exactly the right arc, every flip has exactly the right rotation speed. Advanced players can chain movements together in flowing sequences, a dive into a roll, into a jump, into a cap throw, into a cap bounce, into another dive. These complex sequences look graceful and intentional, like a gymnast performing a routine. Beginning players can use simpler movements and still feel the same precision and control. Even small touches like how Mario holds power moons adds personality. When he collects one, he doesn't just grab it and move on. He holds it up triumphantly, spinning around once as if showing it to an invisible audience. His eyes sparkle. His whole body radiates joy. After collecting hundreds of moons, this animation never gets old because it captures pure happiness so perfectly. The care put into Mario's character development makes every moment in Odyssey feel personal and warm, as if you're not just controlling a character, but accompanying a friend on his greatest adventure. The kingdoms of Super Mario Odyssey are filled with gentle souls and curious creatures, each one adding warmth and personality to the places Mario visits. These supporting characters aren't just background decoration. They have lives and stories and little details that make the world feel inhabited and real. When you take time to talk with them, to notice them going about their days, the adventure becomes richer and more meaningful. In the Cap Kingdom, you first meet the Bonitors, peaceful, hat-shaped spirits who float through their misty home. They're worried about the recent attack by Bowser and his forces, concerned for their friends who were taken. The Bonitors speak softly, their voices filled with hope that Mario and Cappy will set things right. Some Bonitors have been transformed into hats that enemies now wear, waiting patiently to be freed. Their gentle nature makes you want to help them, to restore peace to their quiet kingdom. The Cascade Kingdom introduces you to the Chain Chomps, those spherical creatures with big teeth, who seem fierce at first but are really just enthusiastic. When you capture a Chain Chomp, you feel their raw energy, their desire to pull forward and break through obstacles. They're not mean, just powerful and excited. Watching wild Chain Chomps hop around the prehistoric landscape, you realize they're perfectly suited to this ancient place, living fossils in a kingdom of fossils. Tostarena in the Sand Kingdom is home to the Tostarinans, skeleton citizens who wear colorful clothing and sombreros. Despite being skeletons, they're incredibly cheerful and welcoming. They run shops, offer advice, and go about their daily lives with joy. The Tostarinan, who runs the Crazy Cap store, greets you warmly each time you visit. Another Tostarinan tests your skills with races across the sand. They've built a wonderful community in this desert. Their town, a splash of color against the tan dunes. Their acceptance of Mario, this stranger who arrives in a hat-shaped ship, shows their kind and open nature. The New Donkers of New Donk City are perhaps the most unusual supporting characters in any Mario game. They're humans, realistic in proportion, going about their business in a bustling metropolis. At first, seeing these realistic people next to Mario's cartoony appearance feels strange, but the New Donkers treat Mario with respect and friendliness, never questioning why a short plumber in overalls is climbing their buildings. They have jobs and routines. Some work in construction, others manage shops or direct traffic. The mayor, Pauline, becomes especially important, organizing a festival to celebrate Mario's help in freeing the city from Bowser's influence. Deep in the wooded kingdom, the steam gardeners tend their forest home with care and devotion. These flower-like creatures with watering-can heads are peaceful gardeners who just want their kingdom to thrive. They speak gently about the plants they nurture, worried about the mechanical invaders disrupting the natural balance. The steam gardeners move slowly, deliberately, never rushing. Watching them water plants or tend to seedlings has a meditative quality, like observing someone perform a task they truly love. In the Lake Kingdom, you find the Loch Lady people, elegant beings who resemble fish but walk on two legs. They're worried about the pollution affecting their beautiful waters and grateful when Mario helps clean things up. The Lochlades speak with grace about their underwater palace and the importance of keeping their kingdom pristine. They've lived in harmony with the water for generations, understanding its rhythms and respecting its power. The Luncheon Kingdom introduces the Volbonins, rotund pink creatures who love cooking and food. They wear chef hats and aprons, always ready to discuss recipes or cooking techniques. The Volbonins have turned their volcanic kingdom into a paradise for food lovers, with vegetables growing from the ground and stew bubbling in natural lava pots. They are jolly and welcoming, excited to share their culinary culture with visitors. Their enthusiasm for cooking is infectious, making you smile even as you navigate their dangerous lava-filled world. In the Seaside Kingdom, the beach is populated by vacationers enjoying the sun and surf. Some sunbathe on chairs, others build sandcastles or play in the waves. They're here to relax, to forget their worries, to enjoy the simple pleasure of a beautiful beach. Their peaceful contentment reminds you that sometimes the best thing to do is simply rest and appreciate your surroundings. The Bublanians, the local inhabitants, are made of carbonated water and sparkle in the sunlight as they bounce around their seaside paradise. The Snow Kingdom belongs to the Shivarians, athletic seal-like creatures who love racing and winter sports. They've built courses through the snow and ice, challenging each other to go faster, to perfect their techniques. But despite their competitive nature, Shivarians are friendly and encouraging. They cheer for you during races, offer tips to improve your time, and celebrate your victories as if they were their own. Their village is cozy and warm, a safe haven in the cold landscape. Bowser's Kingdom features stairface ogres, traditional Japanese-style creatures who serve Bowser but seem more confused than evil. Some of them express doubt about Bowser's plans. Others simply stand at their posts because that's what they've always done. They're not truly bad, just following orders, and you almost feel sorry for them as you bounce on their heads. Throughout all the kingdoms, you find Goombas and Koopa Troopas, familiar faces from decades of Mario adventures. But here, they feel different, integrated into each environment rather than just generic enemies. A Goomba in the Sand Kingdom might wear a tiny poncho. A Koopa in the Seaside Kingdom might have beach-themed details. These small touches show that even common creatures adapt to their surroundings, finding their place in each unique kingdom. These supporting characters, from the grandest to the smallest, make Mario's journey feel less lonely and more like a tour through living, breathing communities where everyone has a role to play. At the heart of Super Mario Odyssey lies the capture mechanic, a system so elegant and intuitive that it feels like magic the moment you first use it. The design philosophy behind capturing was simple: give players a new way to interact with everything around them, make it feel good to use, and let creativity flourish naturally. The team spent countless hours refining how capturing works, ensuring that the fundamental mechanics felt perfect before building everything else around them. When you throw Cappy, the motion itself carries a satisfying weight. Press the button and Mario's arm extends forward in a smooth arc. Cappy spins through the air, his eyes visible on the cap's surface, making him feel alive rather than like a simple projectile. He travels in a gentle curve, not too fast and not too slow, at exactly the right speed to feel controllable. If Cappy hits nothing, he returns to Mario automatically, circling back like a loyal friend. This simple throw and return creates a rhythm, a flow that becomes second nature within minutes of playing. The genius of the capture system reveals itself in how it transforms your relationship with the environment. In traditional Mario games, enemies are obstacles to avoid or defeat. Goombas must be jumped on, Koopa Troopas must be kicked away. But in Odyssey, when you see a Goomba, your first thought isn't how to destroy it, but rather what you might do if you became it. This shift in perspective changes everything. Suddenly, every creature and object becomes a possibility, a potential tool, a doorway to new experiences. The visual feedback when a capture succeeds is deliberately clear and rewarding. Cappy lands on the target, there's a brief flash of light, and Mario's consciousness seems to transfer instantly. His cap and mustache appear on whatever he's captured, maintaining his identity even in these strange new forms. This consistent visual language helps you remember that you're still Mario, just experiencing the world through different eyes. The mustache on a T-Rex looks silly, but also endearing, a reminder that underneath all that prehistoric power, it's still our gentle plumber in control. Each capturable creature was designed with specific abilities that feel natural to their form. When you capture a frog, you can jump much higher than Mario normally can, which makes perfect sense because frogs are amazing jumpers. The frog's movement is different too, not a smooth run, but rather big leaps that cover distance in bouncing hops. You have to adjust your timing, think differently about how to navigate space, but the controls remain simple. The same jump button, just used in a new context. Bullet bills offer a completely different experience. Capture one, and you become a missile flying through the air at high speed. You can steer left or right, but you're always moving forward, always in motion. The world blurs slightly at the edges, conveying speed and urgency. You must think ahead, plan your path, because you can't stop or slow down. When you release the capture, Mario pops back into his normal form, usually in midair, letting you extend your jump distance tremendously. This makes bullet bills perfect for crossing huge gaps that would be impossible to jump normally. The up route, found in the Wooded Kingdom, shows how captures can be gentle and puzzle-focused rather than action-oriented. This plant creature can stretch upward when you pull the control stick, raising Mario high into the air. It moves slowly, deliberately, encouraging careful thought rather than quick reflexes. Using an uproot feels meditative, like tending a garden or growing a plant in slow motion. You stretch up to reach a high platform, release to shrink back down, stretch again to grab a power moon floating just out of reach. Cheap Cheeps transform underwater sections from something to endure into something joyful. Capture one of these fish, and suddenly you're swimming faster, moving more naturally through the water. You can explore underwater areas thoroughly without worrying about air, discovering secrets hidden in the depths. The swimming animation is smooth and calming, watching the Cheep Cheep's fins propel you through clear blue water. It turns water from an obstacle into a playground. The capture system also extends to inanimate objects, which was a bold creative choice. You can capture a manhole cover and experience the world as a flat disc sliding along the ground. You can't jump, can't attack, can barely move quickly. But you can slip through narrow fences and reach areas Mario couldn't access normally. You can capture a spark of electricity and zip along power lines, the world streaking past as you travel at lightning speed. You can capture a Gushen, a squid-like creature, and use its water jets to fly through the air, controlling your height and direction with gentle precision. The controls for each capture were carefully tuned to be easy to understand, but deep enough to reward practice. A captured chain chomp, for instance, can be pulled in different directions by holding different buttons and moving the control stick. Learning to aim these pulls to ricochet off walls and reach distant objects takes practice, but feels wonderful once mastered. The game never forces you to master these techniques. You can complete the main story using basic capture abilities. But for players who want to dig deeper, who want to really understand each capture's potential, layers of depth wait patiently to be discovered. Some captures appear throughout the adventure, while others show up only once or twice, in specific situations designed just for them. A tropical wiggler appears only in certain spots in the Luncheon Kingdom, its stretchy body perfect for reaching across gaps. The Mo-Eye, a strange one-eyed creature from Bowser's Kingdom, can wear special glasses that reveal invisible platforms. These unique captures feel special because of their rarity, little surprises tucked into specific moments. The capture mechanic succeeds because it follows a simple rule: make the basic action feel good, then let players discover all the wonderful things they can do with it, creating a foundation so solid that everything else can build upon it naturally and joyfully. Beyond the basic mechanics of jumping and capturing lies a deeper layer of design in Super Mario Odyssey, sophisticated approaches that transform simple actions into meaningful experiences. The development team understood that great game design often works invisibly, teaching players without them realizing they're being taught, creating challenges that feel perfectly balanced between difficulty and reward, and building systems that respect different skill levels and play styles. One of the most elegant design choices involves how the game introduces new concepts. Rather than stopping gameplay to show you tutorial screens or forcing you to read instructions, Odyssey lets you learn by doing. The very first kingdom, the Cap Kingdom, is essentially a gentle tutorial wrapped in atmosphere and story. You learn to throw Cappy because you need to cross a gap and there's a helpful object right where you need it. You learn to capture because a frog sits near a ledge that's clearly too high to reach normally. The game never tells you these things explicitly. It simply places elements in your path and trusts you to experiment. This teaching philosophy continues throughout the adventure. When a new capture becomes available, the game often places it in a safe area where you can experiment without danger. The first bullet bill you can capture appears in a wide open space with a clear target ahead. You have time to feel how it controls, to get comfortable with the speed and steering before the game asks you to do anything complex with it. This gentle introduction reduces frustration and builds confidence naturally. The designers also understood the power of what they call negative space, areas where nothing much happens. These moments of calm between intense platforming sections give players time to breathe, to look around, to appreciate their surroundings. After a challenging sequence in Bowser's Kingdom, you might find a quiet courtyard where friendly Goombas waddle peacefully and a few easy power moons wait to be collected. These spaces aren't lazy design. They're deliberate rest points, like benches placed along a hiking trail. Power Moon distribution shows sophisticated understanding of player psychology. The game offers moons for many different activities: completing story objectives, solving puzzles, finding hidden spots, winning races, talking to NPCs, ground-pounding suspicious areas, capturing specific creatures, and dozens more. This variety means every player will naturally find moons that match their preferred playstyle. If you love exploration, you'll find plenty of moons hidden in secret corners. If you enjoy challenges, tough platforming sequences and boss fights offer their rewards. If you just like looking around and talking to characters, conversational moons appear throughout every kingdom. The designers created what they called breadcrumb trails, subtle visual hints that guide curious players towards secrets. A line of coins might arc toward a distant platform. A bird might circle above a hidden area. A Toasterenen might stand looking at a wall, and if you follow their gaze, you'll notice something unusual about that particular spot. These hints never feel obvious or hand-holding. They respect your intelligence while gently encouraging exploration. Difficulty scaling happens organically, rather than through explicit settings. The main story path remains accessible to players of all skill levels. You never need to collect every power moon or complete every challenge to see the credits roll. But for those seeking greater challenges, the game offers them in abundance. The Dark Side of the Moon, unlocked after completing the main story, presents remixed boss fights that demand precision and practice. The Darker Side, the ultimate test, combines brutal platforming with strict requirements and no checkpoints. These challenges exist for players who want them, but they never block anyone from enjoying the core adventure. The game also teaches through contrast and comparison. Early kingdoms, like Cap Kingdom and Cascade Kingdom, have relatively few power moons, maybe 20 or 30 each. This keeps things focused and prevents overwhelming new players. But later kingdoms, like Metro Kingdom and Seaside Kingdom, contain 60 or 70 moons each, rewarding the exploration skills you've been developing. By the time you reach these dense kingdoms, you've learned how to spot secrets, how to think about three-dimensional space, how to experiment with captures. The difficulty hasn't suddenly spiked. Your skills have grown to match the complexity. Movement mechanics reveal incredible depth for players who want to master them. Simple jumps can be chained into complex sequences through techniques like dive jumps, where you throw Cappy and then dive toward him, bouncing off his position to extend your distance. You can roll out of a dive to maintain momentum, then immediately jump again, carrying that speed forward. Advanced players string together 15 or 20 actions in a single flowing sequence, crossing distances that seem impossible at first glance. But here's the beautiful part. You never need these advanced techniques to complete the game. They exist as rewards for curiosity and practice, not as barriers to progress. The designers understood that discovery should feel personal and special. Some power moons have hints pointing toward them, little signs or NPCs who offer clues. But many moons have no hints at all, waiting silently for observant players to find them. When you discover one of these hidden moons, through your own curiosity, the feeling is magical. You weren't following instructions or checking a guide. You were simply exploring, paying attention, thinking creatively about the space around you, and the game rewarded that curiosity. Cappy's ability to highlight nearby secrets when you shake the controller shows another layer of thoughtful design. This feature helps players who might feel lost or frustrated, giving them a gentle nudge toward nearby objectives. But the highlights are subtle, never overwhelming, and the feature is completely optional. The game accommodates different needs without compromising its core design philosophy. Through all these sophisticated approaches, Odyssey creates an experience that feels welcoming and deep, accessible and challenging, guided and free. The design works quietly in the background, supporting your journey without ever feeling heavy-handed or restrictive, like a gentle hand on your shoulder as you drift toward sleep. The levels of Super Mario Odyssey aren't really levels in the traditional sense. They're kingdoms, living spaces designed with careful attention to how players move through them, how they learn, and how they feel as they explore. The philosophy behind level design in Odyssey centers on creating spaces that welcome you in, teach you gently, and reward curiosity without ever feeling punishing or unfair. Every platform, every enemy placement, every power moon location has been considered and reconsidered, refined until it feels just right. When you first arrive in a new kingdom, the designers wanted you to feel a sense of wonder and possibility rather than confusion or overwhelm. The Odyssey landing site is always positioned to give you a view of the kingdom stretching before you, a gentle invitation to explore. In Tostarena, you land on a small rise overlooking the town and desert. Your eye naturally travels across the landscape, taking in the colorful buildings, the distant pyramid, the rolling dunes. The game doesn't need to tell you where to go. The level design itself creates visual paths that draw your attention. Pacing within each kingdom follows a rhythm that feels almost musical. Intense platforming sections are followed by calmer exploration areas. Challenging boss fights give way to peaceful moments of discovery. This ebb and flow prevents exhaustion and keeps the experience feeling varied and fresh. In the Metro Kingdom, you might spend several minutes navigating difficult rooftop jumps, then descend to street level where you can simply walk around, talk to new donkers, and collect easy moons from shop purchases or simple observations. The designers created what they called onion layers of content in each kingdom. The outer layer consists of obvious moons and main story objectives, things you'll naturally encounter just by moving through the space. These guide you through the kingdom, helping you see the major landmarks and understand the layout. The middle layer contains moons that require a bit more exploration or problem solving, rewarding players who look carefully or think creatively. The inner layer holds deeply hidden secrets, moons tucked into corners that only the most thorough explorers will find. This layering means you can engage with each kingdom at whatever depth feels comfortable. Obstacles in Odyssey are placed to teach rather than to frustrate. When you encounter a new type of challenge, it usually appears first in a simple form. The first time you need to use a particular capture to cross a gap, that gap is wide, but there are no other dangers around it. You can take your time, experiment, fail safely, and try again. Later, after you've grown comfortable with that capture, the game might ask you to use it while avoiding enemies or navigating moving platforms. The difficulty increases gradually, building on skills you've already learned. Level geometry creates natural pathways that feel intuitive to follow. Platforms are spaced at distances that invite specific types of jumps. A gap that's slightly too far for a normal jump suggests you should try a long jump or throw Cappy to bounce off. A very high ledge hints that you might need to find something to capture, perhaps a frog or an uproot. The spacing and placement of platforms communicate silently, telling you what's possible and what strategies might work. Experienced players read this geometry instinctively, while newer players can experiment and discover these relationships at their own pace. Secrets are hidden in ways that reward different types of observation. Some moons sit in plain sight, but in unexpected places, like on top of a tall building or underneath a bridge. Finding these rewards players who think to look up or down, who don't just follow the obvious path. Other moons hide behind breakable walls or inside question blocks that blend into their surroundings. These reward players who try interacting with everything, who ground pound suspicious spots, who throw Cappy at objects just to see what happens. The difficulty curve across the entire game is gentle and welcoming. Cap Kingdom and Cascade Kingdom serve as extended tutorials, teaching basic concepts in safe environments. Sand Kingdom and Lake Kingdom expand on those concepts, introducing more complex captures and larger spaces to explore. By the time you reach Metro Kingdom and Bowser's Kingdom, the game assumes you've developed skills and confidence, so the challenges grow more elaborate. But this progression never feels like a wall you hit. Each step forward feels natural, like growing stronger without noticing the exact moment you improved. Checkpoints and warp points appear generously throughout each kingdom. The designers didn't want you spending lots of time just traveling from one place to another, so they place flagpoles and scarecrows that let you teleport around the kingdom quickly. This respect for your time means you spend more energy on fun activities like platforming and exploring, less on repetitive backtracking. When you need to return to a specific area for a moon you couldn't reach earlier, a quick warp gets you there in seconds. Environmental storytelling through level design adds depth to exploration. In the Lake Kingdom, you find areas that show signs of the pollution affecting the waters. In the Wooded Kingdom, mechanical invaders have built structures that clash with the natural forest. These details aren't just decoration, they tell stories about what's happening in each kingdom, giving context and meaning to your actions. When you help clean up the Lake Kingdom or defeat the mechanical boss in the Wooded Kingdom, you're not just completing objectives, you're restoring these places to their natural state. The designers also thought carefully about sightlines, what players can see from different positions. Important landmarks are visible from multiple locations, helping with navigation. The inverted pyramid in Sand Kingdom, the new Donk City Hall Tower in Metro Kingdom, the volcano in Luncheon Kingdom. These structures orient you, preventing that lost feeling that can sometimes happen in large three-dimensional spaces. Rewards are placed to encourage thorough exploration without making you feel like you need to check every single corner. The game strikes a delicate balance, offering enough secrets that curious players always find something, but never so many that finding them all feels like tedious work. The level design whispers rather than shouts, gently suggesting where you might look next, trusting you to find joy in the journey. The way you interact with Super Mario Odyssey, the feeling of your fingers on the controller translating into Mario's movements on screen, represents years of careful refinement and thoughtful design. Nintendo has always understood that controls are the invisible bridge between player and game, and in Odyssey, they crafted that bridge with exceptional care. Every button press, every motion gesture, every analog stick movement responds exactly as you expect, creating a sense of connection that feels almost magical. When you press the jump button, Mario leaves the ground instantly. There's no delay, no lag between your intention and his action. This immediate responsiveness makes controlling Mario feel direct and natural, like your thoughts are flowing straight into his body. The jump itself has been refined over decades of Mario games, and in Odyssey, it reaches perhaps its most perfect form. The arc feels just right, rising and falling in a way that matches your intuition. You can feel the momentum, the weight, the satisfying physics that make every jump a small pleasure. The control scheme accommodates different preferences and playstyles beautifully. You can play with the Joy-Cons attached to the Switch in handheld mode, with them detached and held separately, with a Pro controller, or even with a single Joy-Con held sideways. Each configuration works smoothly, though they offer slightly different experiences. The developers tested extensively to ensure that no matter how you chose to hold the controller, Mario would respond faithfully to your commands. Motion controls add an optional layer of interaction that feels natural when you use it. Shaking the controller makes Mario throw Cappy with a bit more range and speed than pressing the throw button. Certain specialized throws, like the spin throw where Cappy circles around Mario, require motion input. But here's the thoughtful part. You never absolutely need these motion-based throws to complete the main story. They offer advantages and open up advanced techniques, but button presses alone will carry you through the adventure. This design choice means players who prefer traditional controls or who can't use motion controls for any reason never feel limited or excluded. The analog stick controls Mario's movement with precision and grace. Push it slightly and Mario walks slowly, his footsteps gentle and measured. Push it further and he breaks into a run, his speed increasing smoothly rather than jumping abruptly between walk and run. This analog movement gives you fine control in tight spaces while still allowing fast traversal across open areas. The feeling of gradually accelerating into a full sprint, then skidding to a stop exactly where you intended, creates satisfaction in even the simplest movements. Camera control works quietly in the background, usually doing exactly what you need without conscious adjustment. The right analog stick lets you rotate the camera freely, and it responds smoothly to your inputs. The camera system is intelligent too, automatically adjusting to give you good views during important moments. When you enter a 2D section, the camera moves to a side view without you needing to do anything. When you capture a bullet bill and start flying, the camera pulls back to show more of the space ahead. These automatic adjustments feel helpful rather than intrusive, maintaining your sense of control while smoothing out potential frustrations. The feeling of throwing Cappy evolved through countless iterations. The developers wanted it to feel satisfying, to have just the right amount of weight and distance. Early versions felt wrong in ways that were hard to articulate. Too floaty, or too heavy, or traveling too far, or not far enough. They adjusted and tested again until they found exactly the right feel. Now when you throw Cappy, it's like tossing a favorite toy, familiar and comfortable, and exactly what you intended. Different captures bring different control schemes, and each one was designed to feel appropriate to that form. Controlling a T-Rex feels powerful and slightly unwieldy, matching what you'd expect from a massive dinosaur. The controls are simple: move, jump, bite, but they feel weighty in a way that communicates the T-Rex's size and strength. Controlling a Goomba, by contrast, feels light and bouncy, matching its small stature. You can stack Goombas on top of each other by capturing one and then walking into another, creating a tower that wobbles charmingly as you move. The controls communicate personality through feel alone. Button mapping follows conventions that feel intuitive if you've played games before, but the game never assumes you have. It introduces actions one at a time, giving you chances to practice each new ability before adding more. By the time you've learned all of Mario's moves, jumping, diving, rolling, long jumping, side flipping, triple jumping, ground pounding, and more, using them feels as natural as walking. Your fingers find the right buttons without conscious thought. The responsiveness extends to small details that you might not consciously notice, but that contribute to the overall feel. When Mario lands from a high fall, there's a brief moment where he recovers his balance. This tiny delay feels right, matching the physical reality of landing, but it's calibrated perfectly so it never feels frustrating, never interrupts your flow. When Mario grabs a ledge, he pulls himself up smoothly. When he slides down a steep slope, the speed increases gradually. These micro interactions, repeated thousands of times throughout your playthrough, accumulate into an overall feeling of solidity and precision. The controller vibration adds subtle feedback that enhances the tactile experience. When Mario jumps, there's a gentle pulse. When he ground pounds, a stronger thump. When he captures something, a satisfying buzz. These vibrations aren't intrusive or distracting. They're gentle confirmations that your actions have registered, that the game has heard you and responded. Players who prefer can disable vibration entirely, but for those who enjoy it, the haptic feedback creates one more layer of connection between player and game. The control scheme succeeds because it makes you forget you're holding a controller at all. Your intentions flow seamlessly into Mario's actions, creating a sense of presence and control that feels effortless and natural, like breathing or walking or drifting peacefully towards sleep. Super Mario Odyssey takes a different approach to power-ups than most Mario games before it. Instead of mushrooms and fire flowers collected from blocks, Odyssey offers an extensive wardrobe of costumes and outfits that Mario can purchase and wear throughout his journey. This shift in philosophy transforms how players interact with rewards and progression, turning collection into expression and practical necessity into personal choice. Each kingdom has its own special currency called regional coins. In the Sand Kingdom, you collect purple, pyramid-shaped coins scattered throughout Tostarena. In the Metro Kingdom, you find purple coins shaped like city buildings. These regional coins can only be spent in that specific kingdom's Crazy Cap store, encouraging thorough exploration of each area. The coins hide in secret spots, behind breakable walls, on top of high buildings, inside question blocks. Finding them all requires careful observation and curiosity, rewarding players who take time to look around rather than rushing through. The Crazy Cap stores themselves are cozy little shops that appear in every kingdom. Step inside and you'll find mannequins displaying various outfits, shelves holding stickers and souvenirs, and a friendly shopkeeper ready to help. The stores are safe havens, peaceful spaces where no enemies can bother you. You can browse at leisure, trying on different combinations of hats and clothes, seeing how Mario looks in various styles. The stores even have mirrors, where Mario can admire his reflection, a charming touch that adds personality to what could have been a simple menu screen. Outfits serve multiple purposes in Odyssey. Some are purely cosmetic, letting you dress Mario however you like. Want him to wear a fancy suit and top hat? You can do that. Prefer him in a chef's outfit or explorer gear? Those options exist too. Other outfits are required to access certain areas. The citizens of New Donk City won't let you into their most exclusive locations unless you're properly dressed. The same applies to other kingdoms. Certain doors only open if you're wearing appropriate attire. This gives the costumes purpose beyond appearance, making them feel like actual clothing choices rather than just collectibles. The variety of available outfits is remarkable. There are over 30 different hats and a similar number of clothing options, allowing for hundreds of possible combinations. Some outfits are silly, like the clown costume or the Mario 64 throwback outfit with its blocky polygonal appearance. Others are elegant, like the black tuxedo or the fashionable suit with its red coat and white pants. A few outfits reference other Nintendo games and characters, delightful nods for longtime fans. Regional outfits help Mario blend into each kingdom's culture. In Tostarena, you can purchase a poncho and sombrero that match what the local Tostarenans wear. In the Seaside Kingdom, swimming trunks and snorkel gear fit the beach atmosphere perfectly. In Bowser's Kingdom, traditional Japanese clothing helps you look less conspicuous among the inhabitants. These outfits aren't required, but wearing them creates a sense of belonging, of respecting and participating in local customs. Some costumes unlock special interactions with kingdom residents. Wearing the right outfit might make NPCs say different things to you, commenting on how nice you look or how you fit right in. In New Donk City, wearing formal attire earns approving nods from the fashionable New Donkers. These small acknowledgments make the costumes feel meaningful, like they matter to the world, rather than existing only for your benefit. The process of collecting coins to purchase outfits creates a gentle rhythm of exploration and reward. You might spot a purple coin glinting on a distant rooftop and think, I wonder how to reach that. Then you experiment with different captures or movement techniques until you figure it out. Each coin brings you closer to affording that outfit you've been eyeing. When you finally have enough coins and return to the Crazy Cap store, purchasing the outfit feels earned and satisfying. Regular yellow coins, which appear abundantly throughout every kingdom, can also be spent at Crazy Cap stores on certain items. These coins accumulate quickly, ensuring you always have enough to buy healing hearts if needed or to purchase additional power moons that appear in shops. The economy is generous, never making you feel starved for currency. Nintendo wanted shopping to feel fun and accessible rather than restrictive or grindy. Some of the rarest outfits require substantial coin investment, giving long-term goals to players who want to collect everything. The Gold Mario outfit, for instance, costs thousands of coins and can only be purchased after you've collected a certain number of power moons. It's a status symbol, a way to show other players that you thoroughly explored the game. But it's also just a fun cosmetic option with no gameplay advantages, keeping the focus on personal expression rather than power. The wardrobe system lets you change Mario's appearance anytime you're not in the middle of an action. Open the menu, select a hat and outfit combination, and Mario instantly changes clothes. You might wear the Explorer outfit while traversing dangerous terrain, then switch to something festive for the new Donk City Festival. You might dress formally for an important story moment, then change into casual beach wear for relaxing exploration in the Seaside Kingdom. This flexibility encourages experimentation and personalization. Stickers and souvenirs can also be purchased with regional coins, decorating the Odyssey ship and making it feel more like home. Each kingdom offers unique stickers reflecting its culture and personality. Collecting these souvenirs creates a visual journal of your journey, each sticker a memory of a place you visited and adventures you've had there. The power-up philosophy in Odyssey recognizes that sometimes the best rewards aren't about becoming stronger or gaining new abilities. Sometimes they're about expression, about making the experience feel personal and unique to you. When you dress Mario in your favorite outfit combination and set off to explore, you're not just playing Super Mario Odyssey. You're playing your version of it, dressed exactly as you choose, creating memories that belong to you alone. Music flows through Super Mario Odyssey like a gentle stream, sometimes bubbling with energy, sometimes settling into peaceful rhythms, always enhancing the emotional journey of Mario's adventure. The composers and sound designers understood that music isn't just background decoration. It's a guide, a mood setter, a storyteller that speaks directly to your heart without using words. Every kingdom has its own musical identity, its own sonic personality that makes it memorable and distinct. The journey begins in the Cap Kingdom with soft, mysterious tones. The music here is quiet and contemplative, featuring gentle strings and distant echoes. Fog drifts through this starting area, and the music matches that misty quality, never pushing too hard, letting you ease into the adventure. There's a touch of melancholy too, appropriate for a kingdom that's just suffered an attack and lost some of its citizens. The music whispers rather than shouts, inviting you to listen closely. When you reach the Cascade Kingdom, the music shifts to something more adventurous. Percussion enters, steady like footsteps on an ancient path. The melody suggests exploration and discovery, matching the prehistoric setting with sounds that feel both primal and welcoming. Water sounds blend into the composition, echoing the waterfalls that define this kingdom. The music has energy, but never feels rushed or frantic. It encourages you to move forward while still taking time to look around. The Sand Kingdom brings one of Odyssey's most memorable musical moments. The main theme blends Mexican influence instrumentation with classic Mario melodies, creating something that feels both new and familiar. Acoustic guitars strum cheerfully. Maracas add rhythmic texture. The music captures the warmth and friendliness of Tostarena, the colorful town where skeleton citizens live happily despite the desert heat. There's a festive quality to the music, inviting you to relax and enjoy yourself. When you go underground into the ice caverns beneath the desert, the music shifts to something cooler and more mysterious, the temperature change reflected in the soundtrack. Then comes New Donk City, and with it, one of the most remarkable musical achievements in gaming history. The Metro Kingdom's music is jazzy and urban, featuring brass instruments and upbeat rhythms that capture the energy of a bustling metropolis. But the true magic happens during the festival sequence. Mayor Pauline takes the stage and begins singing Jump Up Superstar, a vocal jazz number that celebrates Mario's adventures. Her voice is smooth and professional, backed by a live band. The lyrics reference moments from Mario's long history, making longtime fans smile with recognition. What makes this musical moment so special is how it integrates with gameplay. As Pauline sings, you're platforming through the city, the music swelling and building as you progress. When you capture certain objects or reach specific points, the instrumentation adds new layers. The song grows fuller and richer as you advance, creating a perfect marriage of music and gameplay. By the time you reach the finale, with fireworks exploding and the full orchestra playing, you feel genuine joy. It's a celebration not just of Mario's journey in Odyssey, but of his entire legacy across decades of games. The Wooded Kingdom offers gentler, musical tones. Here, the soundtrack features woodwinds and strings that evoke the natural environment. You can almost hear the breeze through leaves, the rustle of branches, the peaceful atmosphere of a forest untouched by the mechanical invaders. The music has an organic quality, flowing and breathing like the forest itself. When you enter areas controlled by the invading robots, the music takes on electronic elements, the contrast highlighting the conflict between nature and machine. In the Lake Kingdom, the music becomes ethereal and dreamy. Soft piano notes drift like ripples on water. The composition has an underwater quality, even when you're on the surface, capturing the kingdom's deep connection to its waters. Everything feels fluid and graceful here, the music moving in waves that gently rise and fall. The soundtrack perfectly matches the elegant Loch Lady inhabitants and their beautiful underwater palace. The Luncheon Kingdom brings surprisingly upbeat music for a place filled with lava. The soundtrack has a playful, almost carnival-like quality, featuring bright melodies that match the whimsical sight of vegetables growing from volcanic soil. The music bounces along cheerfully, suggesting that cooking and eating are joyful activities, even in dangerous environments. There's warmth in the music that mirrors the literal warmth of the bubbling lava, creating a cozy feeling despite the hazards. Sound design extends beyond music to include the effects that accompany every action. When Mario jumps, there's a soft wahoo or yahoo in his familiar voice. When Cappy is thrown, he makes a gentle whooshing sound. When you collect a power moon, triumphant music plays, always the same melody, but never feeling repetitive because it represents genuine achievement. The sound of coins collecting has been refined over decades to be as satisfying as possible, a pleasant chime that rewards you dozens of times each play session. Each capture has its own unique sound profile. When you control a T-Rex, every footstep creates a heavy thud that communicates weight and power. When you capture a Cheep Cheep and swim through water, gentle bubbling sounds surround you. When you become a Bullet Bill and fly through the air, wind rushes past with increasing intensity. These audio cues help you understand what you've captured without needing to look, creating a richer sensory experience. Dynamic music changes based on what you're doing, add another layer of sophistication. In many areas, the music has different versions that blend seamlessly depending on your actions. When you capture certain creatures, the instrumentation might change to reflect your new form. When you enter a shop, the music softens and becomes more relaxed. When you approach a boss fight, the music builds tension gradually. These transitions are so smooth, you might not consciously notice them, but they guide your emotional experience throughout the adventure. The Snow Kingdom features music as crisp and clean as fresh snow. Bells and chimes create a crystalline sound that matches the frozen landscape. The music has a playful quality too, matching the athletic Chevarians and their love of racing. There's joy in this cold place, and the soundtrack captures that warmth of spirit that exists even in the coldest environments. Bowser's Kingdom introduces traditional Japanese instruments like the shamisen and taiko drums. The music here is more serious and dramatic, building tension as you approach the final confrontation with Bowser. Yet even in this dangerous place, the music maintains a certain elegance, reflecting the kingdom's beautiful architecture and cultural references. The composer Naoto Kubo, along with his team, created a soundtrack that never overwhelms, but always supports. The music in Odyssey knows when to be quiet, when to swell, when to celebrate, and when to simply provide a gentle backdrop. It respects moments of silence too, allowing natural sounds like wind, water, and footsteps to create their own rhythms. Musical callbacks to earlier Mario games appear throughout Odyssey, rewarding longtime fans with familiar melodies reimagined in new contexts. The ground theme from the original Super Mario Bros. Appears in various forms. Bits of the Super Mario 64 soundtrack echo in the Mushroom Kingdom. These references create a sense of musical continuity, connecting Odyssey to Mario's long history while establishing its own unique voice. As you journey through each kingdom, the music becomes part of your memories of those places. Years later, hearing the Sand Kingdom theme might instantly transport you back to exploring Tostarena. The new Donk City Festival music might bring back the joy of that spectacular celebration. Music and memory intertwine, creating lasting impressions that stay with you long after the game ends, humming softly in your mind as you drift toward dreams. Super Mario Odyssey arrived in the world and created ripples that spread far beyond gaming. The cultural impact of this adventure touched multiple generations, sparked conversations about game design, inspired artists and musicians, and reminded people why they fell in love with Mario in the first place. It became more than just a successful game. It became a cultural moment, a shared experience that brought joy to millions of people across the globe. When Odyssey released in October of 2017, critics immediately recognized something special. Review scores were exceptional, with many publications giving it perfect marks. But the praise wasn't just about technical achievements or clever mechanics. Reviewers talked about how Odyssey made them feel, how it captured a sense of wonder and joy that reminded them why they loved video games. Adults who had grown up with Mario found themselves grinning like children again. Parents played alongside their kids, sharing the adventure across generations. The game created moments of pure happiness, and in a world that often feels complicated and stressful, that happiness mattered deeply. The commercial success matched the critical acclaim. Odyssey sold over 20 million copies, making it one of the best-selling games on the Nintendo Switch. But numbers only tell part of the story. What mattered more was how people played it, how they talked about it, how it became part of their daily lives. Friends gathered to explore kingdoms together, passing the controller back and forth. Families made it a weekend activity, with everyone contributing ideas about where to search for hidden moons. The game brought people together in gentle, joyful ways. Jump Up, Superstar. The vocal theme from the new Donk City Festival became a phenomenon of its own. The song climbed music charts in Japan, an unusual achievement for a video game track. People who had never played Odyssey found themselves humming the melody after hearing it online. The song appeared in commercials, in YouTube videos, in countless remixes and covers. Its upbeat energy and nostalgic lyrics resonated with audiences far beyond the gaming community. Pauline's smooth vocals and the jazzy instrumentation gave the song mainstream appeal while still feeling authentically Mario. The cultural conversation around Odyssey included fascinating discussions about game design philosophy. Developers and designers studied how Odyssey balanced freedom with guidance, how it taught without tutorials, how it rewarded different playstyles equally. The game became a case study in thoughtful design, an example of how to create something accessible, yet deep, simple, yet sophisticated. Game design students analyzed its kingdoms, its moon placement, its capture mechanic. Odyssey influenced how designers thought about open-ended exploration and player-driven discovery. Artists found inspiration in Odyssey's visual variety. Fan art flourished across social media, with creators drawing Mario in various costumes, imagining new kingdoms he might visit, capturing favorite moments from the adventure. The realistic new Donkers, next to Mario's cartoon appearance, sparked particular creative interest, with artists exploring that contrast in their own styles. Cosplayers created elaborate Cappy costumes and Odyssey-inspired outfits. The game's visual language, so distinct and memorable, gave creative people rich material to work with. The game resonated across different age groups in meaningful ways. Children playing their first Mario game discovered the joy of exploration and the satisfaction of finding secrets. Teenagers appreciated the depth of movement mechanics and the challenge of collecting every moon. Adults in their 30s and 40s felt nostalgic connections to their own childhoods playing Super Mario 64 or the original Super Mario Bros. Grandparents, who had watched the video game industry grow from its infancy, saw Odyssey as a beautiful evolution of ideas that started decades ago. The game spoke to each generation differently, yet created shared experiences between them. Odyssey's approach to difficulty and accessibility sparked important conversations about inclusive design. By allowing players to complete the main story without finding every moon or mastering advanced techniques, while still offering substantial challenges for those who sought them, Odyssey demonstrated how games can welcome everyone. Parents appreciated being able to play alongside children of different skill levels, with everyone finding appropriate challenges. The assist mode, which made things easier for players who needed help, showed Nintendo's commitment to letting everyone experience the adventure regardless of skill. The game's influence extended into how people thought about travel and exploration. The kingdom hopping structure, with each location feeling distinct and culturally rich, echoed real-world travel experiences. Players talked about their favorite kingdoms, the way travelers discuss favorite cities. Some loved the urban energy of New Donk City. Others preferred the peaceful beaches of the Seaside Kingdom or the snowy quiet of the Snow Kingdom. The game captured something essential about the joy of visiting new places, seeing different cultures, and collecting memories along the way. Educational contexts embrace Odyssey too. Teachers used it to discuss game design, artistic choices, and even geography and cultural representation. The way each kingdom drew inspiration from real-world locations and cultures provided starting points for broader discussions. The Japanese influences in Bowser's Kingdom, the Mexican touches in the Sand Kingdom, the New York City parallels in the Metro Kingdom. These elements open conversations about how cultures appear in media and how games can celebrate global diversity. The speedrunning community found endless depth in Odyssey's movement systems. Players discovered techniques the developers never anticipated, chaining together captures and jumps in ways that seemed impossible. Speedruns evolved from hours-long journeys to precisely optimized sequences lasting minutes. Watching skilled players navigate kingdoms with perfect precision became its own form of entertainment, with thousands of people tuning in to see records broken and new strategies discovered. The game's tight controls and consistent physics made it perfect for this kind of high-level play. Odyssey also influenced how people thought about post-launch content and game longevity. Rather than relying on downloadable expansions or season passes, Odyssey offered its complete experience up front, with free updates adding features like Luigi's Balloon World and new filters for photos. This approach felt respectful of players' time and money, creating goodwill and encouraging long-term engagement without requiring additional purchases. The game's themes of exploration, friendship, and perseverance resonated during its release period. In late 2017, the world felt uncertain and divided in many ways. Odyssey offered an escape into wonder, a reminder that joy and discovery still existed. The partnership between Mario and Cappy, two characters from different worlds working together toward a common goal, felt symbolically meaningful. Their friendship showed that cooperation and understanding could overcome obstacles, a gentle message delivered through gameplay rather than preaching. Museums and cultural institutions took notice of Odyssey too. It appeared in exhibitions about video game art and design. Academic papers analyzed its approach to spatial design and player psychology. The game earned recognition not just as entertainment, but as legitimate artistic and cultural achievement. This acknowledgement helped continue the ongoing conversation about video games as a meaningful art form. Years after release, Odyssey maintains its relevance. New players continue discovering it, experiencing those kingdoms for the first time. Longtime fans return periodically, finding comfort in familiar spaces and the joy of movement. The game aged gracefully, its design choices proving timeless rather than trendy. It stands as an example of how games can be both commercially successful and artistically meaningful, accessible yet sophisticated, instantly enjoyable yet endlessly replayable. The cultural legacy of Super Mario Odyssey isn't just about sales figures or review scores. It's about the countless hours of joy it brought into people's lives, the memories created, the bonds strengthened, and the reminder that wonder and discovery remain possible at any age. The magic of Super Mario Odyssey didn't stay contained within a single game. Like seeds carried on the wind, its ideas and characters spread into other experiences, other games, other forms of media. This expansion allowed people to interact with Odyssey's world in new ways, keeping the adventure alive long after the credits rolled and introducing its charm to audiences who might never pick up a controller. Nintendo released free updates to Odyssey that added new dimensions to the experience. Luigi's Balloon World arrived in February of 2018, transforming the kingdoms into playgrounds for creative hide-and-seek. Players could hide balloons anywhere in a kingdom, challenging others to find them within a time limit. This simple addition created endless new content, as players hid balloons in devious locations requiring advanced movement techniques or careful observation to discover. The community embraced this feature enthusiastically, turning it into a game within a game. You could spend hours just playing Balloon World, searching for cleverly hidden balloons or trying to stump other players with your own placements. The genius of Balloon World was how it encouraged players to see kingdoms through fresh eyes. Areas you thought you knew completely revealed new possibilities when you had to hide a balloon there. Tight spaces became strategic hiding spots. Obscure corners gained new purpose. The feature gave Odyssey near infinite replay value, as there was always another balloon to find, another challenge to attempt. It was a gift to the community, free content that showed Nintendo's commitment to supporting the game beyond its initial release. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, released in December 2018, brought Odyssey spirit into Nintendo's massive fighting game celebration. The new Donk City Hall stage let players battle atop skyscrapers, while Pauline's jazz music played in the background. Mario could wear various Odyssey costumes as alternate outfits. Cappy appeared as part of Mario's moveset, with some of his attacks incorporating the sentient cap. Spirits based on Odyssey characters could be collected and used to enhance fighters. These inclusions felt like natural extensions of Odyssey's world, letting players experience its aesthetic and music in a completely different context. The Odyssey kingdoms themselves made appearances in other Mario games. Mario Kart Tour, the mobile racing game, featured tracks set in New Donk City and other Odyssey locations. Racing through the city streets, where you once platformed, created a delightful sense of déjà vu. Seeing familiar landmarks from a different perspective at high speed in a kart added new appreciation for the kingdom's design. The tracks captured the visual style and musical themes of their source material, making them feel like authentic pieces of Odyssey transplanted into a racing context. Dr. Mario World, a mobile puzzle game, included characters and themes from Odyssey. The Brutals, those rabbit wedding planners who served as recurring bosses in Odyssey, appeared as playable doctors with unique abilities. Seeing these characters in a completely different genre showed how flexible and memorable Odyssey's cast had become. Even in a simple match, 3 puzzle game, the Odyssey characters retained their personality and charm. Super Mario Maker 2 allowed players to incorporate Odyssey elements into their custom levels. While you couldn't recreate kingdoms exactly, you could use certain enemies and mechanics that Odyssey had popularized or reintroduced. The creative community built countless levels inspired by Odyssey's design philosophy, trying to capture that sense of exploration and discovery within Mario Maker's framework. Some creators built beautiful homages to specific kingdoms, while others used Odyssey's movement mechanics to design intricate challenge courses. The Odyssey aesthetic influenced merchandise and products beyond games. Plush toys of Cappy became available, letting fans own their own version of Mario's helpful companion. T-shirts featuring the game's artwork appeared in stores. The iconic Red Odyssey ship, Mario's method of travel between kingdoms, was recreated as a collectible model. Action figures of Mario in various Odyssey costumes let collectors display their favorite outfits. These physical items extended the game's presence into daily life, allowing fans to surround themselves with reminders of their adventure. Theme parks incorporated Odyssey elements into their Mario attractions. Super Nintendo World, which opened first in Japan and later in other locations, included references to Odyssey in its design. While the main attractions focused on other Mario games, Odyssey's influence appeared in subtle ways. Artwork on walls, musical cues in certain areas, references that dedicated fans would recognize and appreciate. The parks represented the ultimate spin-off, transforming digital experiences into physical spaces people could walk through and explore. YouTube and streaming platforms became homes for countless hours of Odyssey content. Players shared their completion journeys, their speed runs, their creative challenges. Some streamers played through the entire game collecting every single moon, documenting their 100% completion runs. Others created self-imposed challenges, completing the game without jumping, or collecting moons in specific orders, or using only certain captures. This user-generated content kept Odyssey in the public conversation years after release, introducing new audiences to the game through entertaining videos and streams. Musical arrangements and remixes of Odyssey soundtrack flourished online. Musicians recorded orchestral versions of Kingdom themes. Jazz bands covered Jump Up, Superstar in various styles. Electronic producers created dance remixes. Piano players shared peaceful, slowed-down versions, perfect for studying or sleeping. The music took on a life beyond the game, becoming part of the broader cultural soundscape. People who had never played Odyssey still hummed its melodies after encountering them through these creative reinterpretations. Educational content used Odyssey as a teaching tool. Game design courses analyzed its kingdoms and mechanics. Music theory classes examined its compositions. Art programs studied its visual design and color theory. The game became a reference point, an example of excellence that students could learn from. This academic attention validated Odyssey as more than entertainment, recognizing it as a work worthy of serious study and analysis. Crossover appearances in promotional materials kept Odyssey visible. Mario appeared in commercials wearing Odyssey costumes. Nintendo's social media accounts regularly featured Odyssey artwork and screenshots. Anniversary celebrations included retrospectives on the game's development and impact. These ongoing references maintained Odyssey's presence in the cultural conversation, preventing it from fading into the background as newer games released. The competitive scene embraced Odyssey too. While not a traditional competitive game, tournaments emerged around specific challenges. Who could collect the most moons in an hour? Who could complete certain kingdoms fastest? These competitions brought players together, creating communities around shared love of the game. Online leaderboards for Luigi's Balloon World fostered friendly competition, with players striving to find balloons faster or hide them more cleverly than others. Accessibility features influenced other games' development. Developers saw how Odyssey welcomed players of all skill levels and incorporated similar philosophies into their own projects. The assist mode, the generous checkpoint system, the multiple paths to progression, these design choices became reference points for creating inclusive experiences. Odyssey's success proved that accessibility and challenge could coexist, that games didn't need to choose between being easy or hard, but could instead offer options for different players. Fan communities kept Odyssey alive through ongoing discussion and discovery. Forums and social media groups shared secrets. Debated favorite kingdoms helped new players find hidden moons. These communities became gathering places for people who shared appreciation for the game, creating friendships based on common experience. Even years later, someone posting about finally completing Odyssey would receive congratulations and encouragement from strangers who remembered their own journey. The expansion of Odyssey into these various forms and media created a gentle ecosystem around the game, ensuring its ideas and joy continued spreading, touching new lives and creating fresh memories long after that first magical journey through the kingdoms. Even now, years after Super Mario Odyssey first welcomed players into its kingdoms, secrets continue to emerge from its carefully crafted worlds. Dedicated explorers still find hidden moons they somehow missed during countless hours of play. Speedrunners discover new movement techniques that seem impossible until you watch them executed perfectly. The game holds its mysteries close, revealing them slowly to those patient enough to look, to experiment, to wonder what might be possible. Some power moons hide in places so obscure that even the developers joke about forgetting where they place them. In the Sand Kingdom, there's a moon that requires you to notice a tiny crack in a wall in an area most players never visit. Ground pound that specific spot, and a hidden room appears, containing a moon that waited patiently for years before some curious player stumbled upon it. These deeply hidden secrets feel like gifts from the developers, rewards for the most thorough explorers who leave no stone unturned, no wall unexamined. Conversations with NPCs sometimes reveal surprising depth. Talk to the same character multiple times and their dialogue might change, reflecting your progress through the story or the number of moons you've collected. Some characters offer hints about nearby secrets, but only if you speak with them at specific times or while wearing particular outfits. A Tostarinen might comment on your fancy suit. A new Donker might give different directions depending on which kingdom you just came from. These small touches reward players who take time to engage with the world beyond just collecting moons. Glitches and unintended mechanics became beloved parts of the Odyssey experience. Players discovered ways to clip through walls in specific spots, reaching areas the developers never expected anyone to access. Some of these glitches break the game in hilarious ways. Others create beautiful shortcuts, or let you see kingdoms from impossible angles. Nintendo largely left these glitches intact, understanding that for many players, discovering and mastering these techniques was part of the joy. The glitches became features, celebrated rather than patched away. The infinite moon glitch in the Mushroom Kingdom allowed players to collect the same moon repeatedly through careful timing and positioning. While this wasn't how the developers intended moon collection to work, it became a speedrunning staple and a curiosity that players enjoyed experimenting with. Nintendo's decision not to patch it showed respect for how communities had embraced this quirk, understanding that sometimes unintended features create their own kind of magic. Photo mode secrets hide throughout the kingdoms. Certain filters applied in specific locations reveal hidden details invisible during normal play. Use the right filter in the Lake Kingdom, and you might notice patterns in the water that form shapes or symbols. Apply a specific black and white filter in New Donk City, and architectural details emerge that color obscures. These photographic secrets reward players who enjoy the game's visual beauty, who take time to capture and examine moments rather than rushing forward. Environmental details tell stories without words. In the Luncheon Kingdom, you can find ingredients scattered around that suggest recipes. In the Wooded Kingdom, the pattern of flowers sometimes forms recognizable shapes when viewed from above. In Bowser's Kingdom, architectural elements reference specific periods of Japanese history. These details don't affect gameplay and offer no rewards, but they enrich the world for observant players who notice them, adding layers of meaning to already beautiful environments. The post-game kingdoms reveal new secrets after you complete the main story. Areas that were blocked before suddenly open. New power moons appear in locations you've already explored thoroughly. Harder versions of previous challenges test your mastered skills. The darker side of the moon becomes available, a brutally difficult sequence that demands perfect execution of advanced techniques. Completing it rewards you with perhaps the most challenging achievement in any Mario game, a badge of honor for the most dedicated players. Some moons require such specific conditions that discovering them feels like finding hidden treasure. You might need to reach a particular spot at a particular in-game time while wearing a particular outfit and then perform a specific action. These ultra-rare moons feel almost mythical, spoken about in hushed tones in online communities, with players sharing tips and celebrating when someone finally figures one out. The Mushroom Kingdom, that final unlockable area, overflows with nostalgia and secrets. It recreates Princess Peach's castle from Super Mario 64 with loving detail, right down to the paintings on walls and the music that plays in familiar rooms. Veterans of that 1996 classic find themselves transported back to childhood, remembering where every star was hidden, recognizing rooms they explored decades ago. But this isn't just a recreation. It's enhanced, expanded, filled with new secrets that blend old memories with new discoveries. Regional coin locations sometimes require community collaboration to find. Some are hidden so cleverly that discovering them all without help borders on impossible. Players create guides, share maps, compare notes. This collaborative discovery process brings people together, turning moon hunting into a social activity where everyone contributes to the collective knowledge. The enduring appeal of Odyssey lies partly in how it makes you feel. The movement is so smooth, so responsive, that just running and jumping around a kingdom brings simple joy. The worlds are so beautiful and varied that returning to favorite kingdoms feels like visiting beloved places. The secrets are so numerous that there's always something new to discover, always another corner to peek around, always one more moon that might be hiding just out of sight. Years from now, decades even, people will still play Super Mario Odyssey. New generations will discover it, experiencing those kingdoms for the first time. Parents who played it in 2017 will introduce it to their children, sharing the joy of exploration and discovery. The game transcends its moment, becoming timeless in the way that truly special creations do. And so, our journey through 165 facts about Super Mario Odyssey comes to a gentle close. We've explored kingdoms together, learned about design and music and secrets. We've traveled from the Misty Cap Kingdom to the challenging, darker side of the moon. We've seen how a game can bring joy, can teach without lecturing, can welcome everyone while still offering depths to explore. As you drift toward sleep now, perhaps you'll dream of kingdoms yet undiscovered, of moons waiting patiently to be found, of adventures that never truly end but live on in memory and imagination. The Odyssey waits whenever you're ready to return, its kingdoms peaceful and welcoming, its secrets patient, its joy eternal. Safe travels, dear explorer. Sweet dreams await in kingdoms of your own.